Yeah, I know, the title wasn't exactly the most mature way to go. But after suffering a bout of intensive apoplexy from Francesca the other day, I felt that I was entitled. Also, it gives me an excuse to test this new microphone for sound with a short little bit of bullshit. Besides, you have to admit that it describes a lot of our collective feelings perfectly. The Hulkster won, Gawker lost, and they lost hard. About $115 million of hard. And that's not including punitive damages, which are still to be decided upon next week. Of course, Gawker could always try to win on appeal, though if they do try that, I would recommend that they don't get a lawyer who tries to invoke the Holocaust to score points, and that they tie AJ Delario up in a corner with a gag in his mouth. AJ is the guy who said under testimony that when it comes to leaking sex tapes to the public, videos showing the rape of 4-year-old girls is where he draws the line, which I'm guessing was pretty much the opposite of what you would want to say to a judge and jury when you're being sued for your media practices and ethics.
I understood your testimony a moment ago when you referenced your standard of newsworthiness being a child celebrity over the age of 4. You were joking? Is that what you just said?
I did say that, yeah.
You think that's a funny topic to joke about, child pornography?
No, not at all.
And at the time that you made that joke, you were in a deposition, right?
Yeah.
You were in a deposition and asked a question about one of the central issues in this case, were you not?
The central issues in this case, which was what?
Newsworthiness.
Yeah.
That's your defense, right? That's the First Amendment?
That is.
And when you were asked a question about newsworthiness, you made a joke. Is that what you're telling this jury here today?
No.
You just said you were making a joke, Mr. Delario. Do we need to read back your testimony?
You can read back the testimony, sure.
Okay. Can we read that back?
In this case, were not answer simple issues in this case, which was what? Question newsworthiness. The answer we have. Question that is described as the First Amendment. Yes.
Thank you. So you were joking in your deposition about newsworthiness, correct?
About the newsworthiness of what?
Child pornography.
Mm-hmm.
You were joking about child pornography, were you not?
You've already seen the footage of this, and I was sarcastic.
Oh, you think the footage shows that you're being sarcastic?
I absolutely do.
Okay. We'll look at that in just a second.
Go ahead.
Okay. You were under oath at your deposition, right?
Yeah,
You raised your right hand and you swore to tell the truth?
I did.
And you had 3 lawyers in that deposition with you, did you not? You had Mr. Berlin, correct?
Yeah.
And you had Heather Dietrich, who was in-house counsel and president for Gawker Media, right?
Yes.
And you also had Aaliyah Smith. She was in there as well.
Bruce Lee is sure.
And it was videotaped, right?
Yes.
I mean, you saw the videotape across from you at the table, didn't you?
Yeah,
So you knew you were being recorded, right?
I did.
And you knew there was a potential that it was going to be played in front of this jury, didn't you?
Not at that time, no.
But you knew it was being recorded, right?
I knew it was being recorded.
It wasn't like there was a hidden camera in the deposition room that you didn't see.
No.
Shockingly, no one bought his "joke's on you, I was only pretending to be retarded" defense. It was like a lesson in everything you never want to do when on the stand. Dude didn't even stop lying when they had him on video saying the exact opposite thing. Mr. Delario, did you have a conversation with Mr. Denton before publishing the Hogan sex tape story? No, I didn't. Okay, could you please look at the screen? And right there is Mr. Denton, under oath, declaring about a conversation he thinks they had before publishing the story. Boo fucking yeah. These people are utterly amazing. They really cannot accept responsibility for anything. Even when you directly quote them. It's fucking amazing. And the funny thing about the 4-year-old kid having sex comment is that he really could have made it no big deal. He could have just said, "Look, I'm sorry. I was tired and I made a joke in poor taste. I asked the court's forgiveness, and it probably would have smoothed the whole thing over. Just as Gamergate could have been smoothed over if the journalist that started all of it had just gone, 'We're sorry, we fucked up, please forgive us.' but they always have to double down on the douchiness, and this is what it gets them. I've been sitting here trying to figure out the best way to sum up my feelings in regards to what's happened to Gawker, and I think that the best way to sum it up is with the usage of the German word Schadenfreude. It doesn't translate that well into English, but basically it means a quiet sense of pleasure at the misfortune of others. I think the closest English equivalent we have is... The kind of downside in this is apparently that there is a relatively recent law in Florida that actually caps super sadist bonds at 50 mil, which means that Gawker could get a potential stay of execution. Of course, they don't have 50 million to fork over, after all the money they've lost these last 2 years, especially what's been chipped away by Gamergate, so either way, they just might be incredibly boned. Of course, the usual suspects in journalism are circling around to try and support Gawker, claiming that this suppression of Gawker will ruin freedom of speech and freedom of the press, because apparently now they care about those things, and it's just gonna get funnier and funnier from here on out. So, I suggest we all have a smoke, kick our feet up, grab a glass of champagne, and celebrate the good times ahead.
To last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate and party with you. Come on out. Celebration. And let's all celebrate and have
Come on, everybody, sing. Come on.
celebration. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time. To last throughout the years.